All right. Good morning, trader. Thank you so much for tuning in to the morning brief. It is Monday, March 22nd. We're looking at the S&P futures here. Let's take a look. All right, so let me switch over to the S&P. This is actually the Dow. All right, so here are the S&P futures, ticker symbol ES. So the overnight session has been very interesting. However, it's still relatively neutral. So we've got the point of control right smack dab in the middle of the range here. We can see we did have the point of control migrate lower, and the value area or the overnight range is falling completely within Friday's range. So things are looking, I would say, neutral bullish right now. We did have a very nice spike here just a little bit ago. But overall, like I said, this is still looking very, very neutral. Yeah, it could certainly be anybody's game. When we opened up here in the overnight session, we gapped down. Buyers came in aggressively, filled the gap. Sellers retested, took out the overnight low, and then the buyers came in aggressively once again, trapping out all of these shorts. So in all likelihood, I believe the shorts that were trapped here are unlikely to sell again. Therefore, we're going to continue to grind higher. My bias today is I'm looking for us to revisit Friday's POC right here. This is Friday's profile in the orange, as you can see. Here's the point of control. Looking for this to get revisited, likely once again, and a retest of Friday's high. So, however, I mean, ultimately, what I'd really like to see happen is for us to take out Friday's high. If that happens, then it's on. We're much more likely to continue higher with substantial strength. So that's what I'm looking for. Like I said, a revisit of Friday's POC, a retest of Friday's high, and hopefully a break to the upside. So that is my bias for the S&P today. I just wanted to go over some stuff from the morning brief here, or the weekend wrap, because there was some interesting stuff in there. Let me just shrink this a little bit to make it more mobile friendly. All right, hopefully you can see that okay. However, I really can't see it myself. Alrighty. Well, we're just gonna need to make do with what we got here. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so essentially, the news that we were going to report on. So Bitcoin bounced and twice retested the $60,000 mark. Right now it is looking somewhat bearish. Let's take a peek at Bitcoin while I got you here. Might as well, because ultimately, I mean, I was bullish on Bitcoin. I was thinking we were going to break back above the $60,000 mark. And then continue higher, but right now it's really struggling to do so. So I would suspect that there's likely somebody shorting at that 60K figure that does not want it to continue higher. So you can see we were in an ascending triangle right here. Here's our resistance. Here's our trend line, and that actually failed. So we had a break down right here. And I mean, there's definitely buyers in this area because you can see we had another false breakout above 60,000 right up here. That trapped out all these longs, and then the buyers came back in right around this $55,000 mark, between 53 and 55K. So there's obviously demand here, and we have supply up around the 60K mark. So we've got some compression going on right now. Ultimately, I do think this will break to the upside, but we'll need to kind of wait and see how this plays out. You can see we are putting in a new trend line right here that is looking pretty solid. So potentially, looking for a bounce off of this trend line here. I'd like to see a retest of the $60,000 level and then break to the upside where we can continue to make new all-time highs. So. Also, if you guys haven't heard, so they may be launching a Bitcoin-based ETF this year. So if that happens, I mean, they believe that because the new U.S. administration is so much more crypto friendly, that it's much more likely to get approved. So That would be phenomenal for the crypto sector as a whole, and I think it'll probably happen. So keep an eye out for that, for a potential Bitcoin ETF coming out. Also, so the Federal Reserve said that it would not extend the supplementary leverage ratio exemption. So basically, what that means is banks have been allowed to trade on basically zero margin, like little to no margin. And that is set to expire on March 31st. They said they would not be extending that. So banks had to be, they started having to sell off some of their bonds ahead of time so they could comply with the margin requirements. Yeah, so anyways, bank stocks did take a hit on that. Here are my setups for this coming week. Where are we? Okay. All right, so let's actually just pull up the live chart here so we can get our pre-market data in there. So my first setup that I was looking for was CRBP, or Corbus Pharmaceuticals. So you can see that we had a pretty nice V bottom right here, and then we pulled back and we started putting in, we put in a higher low and then an additional higher low. So this looks bullish to me right now. You can see this arrow is my target. So I'm looking first for a retest of this pivot high right here at $2.45 approximately, $2.45. And then we have this unfilled gap right here. So that would be my target. And that is right at, what did I have it set at? I think it was 275. That's right. So this would be, a short to midterm swing. However, this thing has quite a bit of more room to the upside, albeit, 275 I think is a reasonable target. You can see we have this big spike up here that goes all the way to right around $4. So you could potentially hold this thing longer. It just kind of depends how it reacts once it fills that gap. But yeah, I'm targeting 275, but I'm still looking for continuation to the upside. So my other setup I was looking at was on AT&T. We have this beautiful head and shoulders pattern right here. So you can see we got shoulder, head, shoulder. So basically what I'm looking for is us to break below this support around 29.75, between 29.60 and 29.75. So I'm looking for us to break through this support level, might come back up, do a little retest, and then continue lower. Ultimately, this is my target right here, because we have some confluence at this level. Where it goes from here, I don't really know. Note that there is a little bit of support right here around 29.20. You can see where this little range was, and we've got a pivot here. So yeah, know that if it were me, I would generally take a trade like short from the breakdown, take profit here, and then close here, or look for continuation or whatever you want to do. But that is that's my setup for AT&T here, ticker symbol T. Okay, and then let me just check my last setup here. Pfizer, that's right. Okay. So here is my last setup that I'm looking at this morning. So this is Pfizer, and you can see it's been in a very nice uptrend, but we do have a little bit of weakness up here at the high. So you can see we had a big spike down, attempted sell off there, came back up, choppy, made a higher low and then a lower low, and then an additional lower low. So right now I'm looking for a trend line break, and right here we do have some support. So I would probably take profit in stages here. So maybe take some off right here because it could potentially bounce. But ultimately I am looking for continuation to the downside. This would be my target at this pivot low here around 33.47. So again, this is Pfizer, ticker symbol PFE. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes till the open here. Now is your time. So if you have any stocks, setups, equities, anything you want me to check charts on, please put it in the chat. We'll go through it together and break it down and see if we can hopefully make you guys some money. So Like I said, if you have any setups or stocks you're interested in this morning, like I said, throw it in the chat and we'll take a look here. While we're waiting here, I'm just gonna run through and look for any additional setups. This is actually pretty interesting. This is Walmart, or ticker WMT, and we have a ES. Gotcha. Yeah, we'll jump on the ES. Let me just do that. We'll just do that right now. TRCH, you got it. Let me write that down really fast. We'll just do this Walmart really fast, and then we'll look at the ES again, and then we'll look at TRCH. So, all right. So again, this is ticker symbol for Walmart. We have this massive, massive gap right here. This is very poor structure. So at some point, the market is going to want to come back in here, repair this poor structure, and ultimately fill this gap. So if you get in for a mid to long-term swing trade here on Walmart, I would be looking for us to take out this pivot high right here. So I'd be looking for a continuation higher, a break, and then for a trend to develop, and ultimately to close right about here at like 147-ish to fill this gap. I think as far as optimal, early entry points goes, I think this is perfect. If you entered even right at this breakout point right here around 130, 134.50, that would be a pretty good place to enter, despite being a little bit behind. But yeah, you've got the potential here to ride this thing up, $16, $17. So this is really not a bad setup. Okay, let's take a peek at the ES here. So again, here's the S&P futures for the overnight session. This in the profile in blue. The orange profile is Friday's regular trading hours. So you can see the profile is relatively neutral. I would say it's neutral bullish, however. It had been pretty D-shaped with the point of control sitting right in the middle of the range. We did have a nice spike here, and we actually did retest Friday's POC. So we're coming back up to value. I mean, the market is gravitating or being pulled back towards this determinant of what they consider value to be. So I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to this POC right now. I think this is a better interpretation of value. We obviously had a lot of trading up in this area between Thursday night and Friday. So we probably have a lot of people still positioned long here, hence the very strong buying tail in Friday's session. So I would imagine what I'm looking for is for us to come back up, revisit Friday's POC, and then retest Friday's high. And here's really going to be the battle zone. I am looking for continuation to the upside. I want to see us break the high, this pivot, and then get up into the low volume node area into where we can trade all the way back up to around here between 38 and 45, something like that. Of course, it's certainly possible everybody that shorted here beginning of Friday and again at the end of Friday session, they certainly could come back in, drive this thing lower, but I really don't see that happening. The NASDAQ has already taken out Friday's high, so I think this thing is going to be bullish. So neutral bullish. We are opening in the value area, so it may be choppy, but like I said, if we can get above Friday's high, this thing's going to take off. So okay, so we're looking at TRCH. All right, Torchlight Energy Resources. This thing looks pretty bearish to me. So you can see we have a huge trend line right here. Let me fix that, make it a little bit more accurate. If I can grab this stupid thing. There we go. Okay. So I'm seeing weak lows here. We have a descending triangle, and you can see that this low has been tested so many times. People clearly think this thing should be auctioning lower. So I'm looking for a breakdown here a retest of this pivot low around 170, and then possible continuation lower to around 140. So this wouldn't be a very long-term trade. You might only get a couple days out of it. I'm 33. Yeah. So yeah, again, I'm looking for a breakdown here, and break through this support level at 219. We've got a pivot low at 170, 175 ish. But like I said, you wouldn't be able to ride this thing very long. I mean, once it gets down to a $140, $150, you're probably going to see buyers starting to come back in, potentially. I have no idea what this company does or what they're about. All I see structure-wise, though, is a potential breakdown coming in. So that's what I have in mind. Does anybody else have equities they would like checked? Throw it in the chat. We'll take a look here together. We got 9 minutes till the open, so let's take a look. ZOM. Zomedica. Alright, so this thing is pretty neutral looking. We do have a little bit of a trend line going here. It's hard to see, but I would say that it holds up more or less. However, it's looking pretty... Whoops. It's looking pretty balanced to me. This is kind of looking like a pennant. So it's neutral right now. What I would need to see in order to be interested at all to the long side is I would need to see strength coming out of here and then a retest of this trend line. If it gets up to this trend line, I think it's possible that it could break through, but right now there's not a lot of volume, compared to what it was over in this section. So it's hard to say. I think ultimately pennant patterns like this, they tend to break out in the direction of the overall trend, which is bullish, as you can see, but it's really, really neutral. Is that my only kid? What are you talking about? I mean, yes, I only have one kid, but the market is my child, or more like we're all the market's children. All right, let's take a look at SLV here, guys. Okay, so this is silver. So it's gapping down here. It might be a little bit hard to see, but there's our gap down. This is where we're trading in pre-markets. We've got an invisible spike. So we did have a little bit of a trend line developing, and that has since broken. And we've got trapped longs up in here now. So potentially, I'm looking for a continuation lower here and potential retest at 23.32. Now, if we're able to break below that level, we could incur a pretty decent sell-off. Let me erase this. So 23.32 is a demand zone. We've got pivots over in this area. Let me get another horizontal line here. That's better. Okay. All right. So yeah, potentially looking for continuation here. If we retest this low right here, I mean, this is really the line in the sand. If we can break below this level, man, it's on. This could be a very, very nice short setup. So yeah, my bias would be short. I'd be looking for a short-term trade, maybe one or 2 days, but it has the potential to continue lower and maybe give you a midterm swing out of it, maybe 5 to 10 days. So it just really depends on if we can make it down to that, $22.90, $23 level and break through. So we can look at the silver futures. 5 minutes till the open, y'all. So this is a chart that shows all of the futures. Bear with me. So this is what's going on in the futures markets today. So you can see lumber is way, way, way up. Not sure what's going on with that. On the economic calendar, we do have existing home sales today, but it hasn't reported yet. So it's actually forecasted to be less than last month. So I don't know if somebody knows something that we don't. Maybe they think we're gonna beat expectations on lumber there, but lumber's looking very bullish. However, if we look for silver in this list, so silver is actually second from the bottom. Ultimately, yeah, I mean, I think metals right now are looking pretty weak. I'm looking for gold. Where's gold? Gold is right here. So it's only down 0.65, but silver futures are down 2.95%, which is a lot. Yeah, I think this silver setup looks good. I use a multitude of sites. This is TradingView. The site you were just looking at was Finviz. That's the futures heat map that they have. I use some other sites like, let's take a look at my links here. All right, so this is just the CME website. I use Market Chameleon. See here, this is still TradingView. So if we look at Market Chameleon here, this is a really good website for finding decent, options plays, looking at open interest, pre-market data, that kind of stuff. I really, really like Market Chameleon a lot. This is investing.com. This is my favorite website for news, and you can get like technical analysis on stuff as well. And it kind of goes through and it'll tell you what, how many moving averages are giving a buy signal, how many are giving a sell signal. It gives your Fibonacci levels. It tells you what the RSI, stochastic, MACD, ADX, all that stuff is doing. So it's a really quick way to check out a particular ticker. And I'm from Oregon. All right, guys. We got 2 minutes till the open here. I am gonna call it a day. Looking at the S&P here, like I said, I am neutral bullish today. Looking for a retest of Friday's POC right here, and then a retest of Friday's high with hopefully continuation to the upside. So, like I said, neutral bullish today. Don't forget we're opening up in the value area though, so it is bound to be choppy. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great day too. Wish you the best. Good luck on your trading, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, guys.